tapos sumunod lang si pirma?
No, no. They were already involved.
Kasasabi lang niya eh.
Mag-usap-usap nga kayong tatlo,
Pwede ba
apat dyan.
magkasundo muna kayo
Mag-usap-usap
sa
muna kayo
dates?
para...
Kasi linilito na ninyo kami eh.
Yung signature sheets, nauna ako, yung pangalan ko.
Siguro, balikan lang ho natin yung unang pagtatagpo nyo. Di ba?
Pang Valentine's Day.
Pang Valentine's Day, kasi parang meron kayong love affair dalawa. Kailan ho kayong unang nagkakilala?
Sa November.
So, November pa. So, hindi December.
Hindi December. December, I met the speaker. And we also
So,
met
Leo, bakit
separately.
napasok
Bakit si speaker na bigla? Akala ko hindi siya kasali. Oh, bakit si speaker na?
Nahuli ka sa sarili mong bibig, ha?
Attorney Abad,
Nahuli ka.
November, nagkakilala kayo ni Attorney Garbin.
And Mr. Onyate.
Okay, so nung meeting niyo noong
At
November,
mas lalo akong nagulat sa halaga. 26.7 billion. Isang programa na ngayon ko lang natuklasan at ngayon lang narinig, pero may bilin dito sa text, all soft projects including AKAP must go through the office of the Speaker. AKAP, AX, Tupad, MAIP for the PI and other efforts.
Madam Chair, ACAP is just as foreign to us, technically, as Senator Bato, as it is provided
Yes,
in
Yusek
line
Dimapuro,
item.
I understand that it's under the DSWD budget. If you recall, in the Senate, I handle the DSWD budget, but like the COMELEC's mysterious addition of 12 billion, this 26.7 billion in the budget of the DSWD is alien to me.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if this WD declares that is foreign to them, saan lang galing itong budget? Baligtad na pala ang budgeting process natin. Ang Kongreso na magde-decide kung anong project i-implement ninyo. Hindi pala kayo ang nagre-request sa Congress na project na papunduhan, program na papunduhan. Baligtad eh. Parang,
Madam Chair, it is not
natin na ma-preserve yung kailang dignity. They want to get back their dignity na hindi sila maloko sa ginaganon. O ito, merong card dito. Perma kayo, bigyan kayo ng card. Later on, that card can be claimed for cash ayuda from the government. Yun ang sabi sa kanila. So, please, Commissioner, gawin niyo po. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair,
Madam-
Your Honors.
thank you, Madam
Maraming
Chair.
salamat po. We will do that immediately. Madam Chair.
Yes, maraming salamat at gusto ko lang humirit. Nagulat din ako sa AKAP at mas lalo akong nagulat sa halaga. 26.7 billion. Isang programa na ngayon ko lang natuklasan at ngayon lang narinig, pero may bilin dito sa text, all soft projects including AKAP must go through the office of the Speaker. AKAP, AX, Tupad, MAIP for the PI and other efforts.
Madam Chair,
Senator JB,
Ako rin
please.
medyo naging curious sa AKAP. Ngayon ko lang narinig eh. No? Siguro can ask the SWD, what is this program about? Is it just between the House and... kasi wala ho kami sa Senate na alam niyan eh. So is it with the SWD and the House of Representatives, yung program?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, ACAP is just as foreign to us, technically, as Senator Bato, as it is provided
Yes,
in line
Yusek Dimapuro,
item.
I understand that it's under the DSWD budget. If you recall, in the Senate, I handle the DSWD budget, but like the COMELEC's mysterious addition of 12 billion, this 26.7 billion in the budget of the DSWD is alien to me.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if this WD declares that is foreign to them, saan lang galing itong budget? Baligtad na pala ang budgeting process natin. Ang Kongreso na magde-decide kung anong project i-implement ninyo. Hindi pala kayo ang nagre-request sa Congress na project na papunduhan, program na papunduhan. Baligtad eh.
Madam Chair, it is not an exclusive project or program for Congress. It will be regular program, but it is technically foreign in the sense that it has no guidelines yet.
Yes, Yusek
So it does not
Dimapuro, did you
exist as
request
a
for this
program.
project? Was it in the NAP? It was not.
No.
There we go. Yes. Do we allot sums of money, enormous sum of money such as this, almost 27 billion, for a project or a program that is undefined, unnamed, unfamiliar, with no guidelines whatsoever, with no target beneficiaries, and is just left open? Is this the usual practice in the DSWD?
Not necessarily a usual practice
Not
in the
necessarily.
DSWD.
So sometimes DSWD has these magical projects that no one has ever heard of before.
We don't create magical projects, Madam Chair. These are
But
part
when
of
is
the
it
GAA.
necessary? You said not necessarily. So there are times when it is necessary to invent projects?
There are times when there are necessary projects to
Yes, you have QRF and you have all kinds of emergency
Yes.
assistance. I'm very familiar. Why do you have to invent ACAP?
ACAP is not invented. I
But you
believe
just said that guidelines and the purposes had not been established.
yes, guidelines have to go through proper policy procedures. So
Pero
it's not
linagyan na ng
invented out
pera,
of the
walang
air.
nakakaintindi kung paano gagawin, kung kanino ibibigay. Walang kaplano-plano pero may pera na.
Madam Chair, there are programs that are provided by the GAA for NGAs to implement. But before we
Yes,
do
with all
implement,
due
we have
respect,
to...
USEC, that is not the usual budget process we're familiar with. There's always a very well-defined project or program before a line item magically appears in the GAA. It's fought over, debated, and discussed very, very thoroughly in the subcommittees as well as the plenary. This wasn't.
Madam Chair, we are currently creating the guidelines, and we would be happy to share with...
Parang baliktad naman yata yung buhay natin. Ngayon mag-iimbento ng dahilan, magdi-design ng project, pupunteriya yung mga beneficiary. Pero in the meantime, linagyan muna ng bilyon-bilyon. Yan na ba talaga ang patakaran ng DSWD?
Madam Chair, for programs that are intended for the poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged, we welcome, obviously, more programs, and we would be grateful to be able to implement these other programs.
I'm familiar with your mandate, but nothing in your mandate indicates that you should be inventing projects and that you are exempt from usual budgetary study and procedure. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, kaya siguro nagkaganon dahil hindi talaga sa kanila yung programa na yan.
Gagawa lang sila ngayon.
Oh, hindi talaga sa kanila. With due respect lang, in fairness to Yusek Di Maporo, bago nga yan sa kanya. Sabi nga niya, foreign hindi niya alam. So, huwag ka mag-alala, we are not faulting you for that. Kaya we are just investigating dahil the usual mangyari is meron ng bahay yung pondo, like AX. Kung sisingit man yung meron mang intervention dyan during the BICAM, ang lower house at saka upper house, the most that they can do is siguro dagdagan yung amount ng AX na yan. Pero may bahay na yan. Pero yung gagawa ng bagong bahay dyan during the BICAM, I don't know how feasible is that. Kaya nga sabi ng aming chairman, it's very magical. Kayo mismo, DSWD, hindi nyo alam na, uy, boom! May
teka.
ACAP pala na ganito kalaki.
Bato, may nabasa lang ako bigla, o naalala ko lang bigla. Sabi ni Yusek Di Maporo, hindi kita inaaway wag mo ipagtanggol yung ACAP pag hindi mo alam. Kasi lahat kami hindi alam. Kahit sinasabi ng DSWD, wala silang alam tungkol sa guidelines, foreign itong project, at linagay lang dyan, nasa press release na yung ACAP will provide 5,000 cash payment to 12 million poor households. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I've read those press releases,
But isn't this a
Madam
mere
Chair.
duplication of so many programs already initiated by previous administrations, the 4Ps and then the AIX, the never-ending ayuda, SAP 1, SAP 2, walang katapusan to. So this is hardly a guideline. Pero ang liwanag na, nangako na ng 5,000. sa
Madam Chair,
12 million households. Baka hindi mo alam.
Madam Chair, I cannot confirm whether those are the numbers that are decided on, as we don't have any guidelines yet.
Pamaskong handog to eh, lumabas sa PNA December 27.
Well, for our Christmas programs, or we don't have ACAP in or any of our Christmas programs, I can say that definitively. But with regard to any pronouncements of how ACAP will be implemented and what amounts will be provided through ACAP, we don't have guidelines for that yet, Madam
Sige,
Chair.
Yusek, ganito na lang, magtulungan na lang tayo. Alamin natin ang mga detalye nitong programang to. Pareho kami ni Senator Bato, ni Senator JV, Senator Risa. Nagugulat po kami kung saan to galing at ano ibig sabihin.
Yes po, Madam Chair. And I'd also like to say that we are very open to many innovations and new programs in DSWD. And it is not a new thing where we create something new.
Madam Chair, just to add.
Okay lang yan, okay lang.
I'm not gonna fight with you over that, but that's completely inaccurate and untrue. Okay, Senator Bato, please.
Pagkuhan ko lang kay Yusek na walang problema. Wala kang problema dito sa amin. Huwag kang mag-alala. Ang
Huwag
amin
kang
lang talaga
mag-alala.
is, nagulat lang kami sa Senado. AKAP. Hindi namin nakita yan sa, kahit na ilang araw mo pag-aralan yung NEP, kahit ilang araw mo pag-aralan yung GAB. Nagulat na lang kami ngayon na may ganyan pala. Ikaw nga, nagulat ka eh. Sa inyong departamento yan. Okay lang, pareho tayong nagulat ngayon.
A happy
Huwag kang
surprise,
mag-alala.
Senator
Ha?
Bato, Madam Chair. A happy surprise because it will help the disadvantaged
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Hindi, walang problema yan.
Hindi, okay lang yan.
Kung mapunta
Okay.
sa taong bayan yan, importante yan. Okay ako, walang problema. Yung nga lang, siguruhin ninyo ha, dahil ang PNP ngayon, nagbabantay na pag mag-release kayo na babawasan na naman yung pera, ang 10,000 ibigay sa tao, tapos ibalik yung, bawiin yung 9,000, 1,000 lang maiwan doon sa tao. You hear that during our hearings, di ba?
Yes, Madam
Oh,
Chair,
kaya
we
bantayan
are
ninyo
happy
talaga
for the
yan.
support of PNP to help
Yeah.
us in those payment areas.
Oh,
Off-site payment areas po siya.
thank you.
Madam Chair, dagdagan ko
Madam
na lang.
Chair.
Dagdagan ko na lang yung,
Senator JV,
yung pagka-surprise
hindi kita inaaway,
natin.
mahal ko yung pamilya mo. Ang
course.
problema, wag mo ipagtatanggol yung hindi mo kaya ipagtanggol. Ayan, Senator
Madam Chair,
JV,
dagdagan ko na
please.
lang siguro yung surprise na ito. According to Infos, our appropriations chair of House, Saldico, said that 60 billion for the ACA program under the 2024 budget with 26.7 already lodged under DSWD. So 60 billion pa lang allocated dyan. So 26 billion pa lang nasa DSWD.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Risa, was that Attorney Jokno raising his hand? Parang nauna po kayo. Sige po.
Sen. Risa,
Dagdag
may
lang,
go
oo.
ahead.
Just a quick addition dun sa point made by Sen. JV, Madam Chair, before Attorney Chell. Just to follow that, at mukhang unprogrammed funds yon yung in-announce po nila sa press conference na yon. Just for the record, Madam Chair. Salamat po, Madam Chair. Salamat, Attorney
Pero
Chell.
ang bongga ng unprogrammed, nakadetalya na, 5 million per family. Ayos. Okay, Attorney Jokno, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the most basic principle here is that a people's initiative must come from the people. And it's very relevant that we find out, for example, why was there a need for an advertisement in the first place? The advertisement is obviously intended to shape public opinion, pero kung galing naman sa taong bayan yung initiative, ba't pa kailangan gumastos ng 55 million pesos? Doon naman po sa point ng donors, very relevant yan. Dahil kailangan natin malaman, halimbawa, kung galing ba yan sa mga public officials o mga associated sa public officials. I overheard Mr. Oñate say earlier that he has been a political operator for 30 years. So naturally, the question must be answered, where did that money come from because of his past experience? Last point lang po, Madam Chair, is that if, as the COMELEC Chair says, the signature sheets are mere scraps of paper, then I see no administrative liability to their being returned to the signatories. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Risa, please.
Related dun sa second point ni Attorney Chell, maybe we should also invite the Anti-Money Laundering Council to the next hearing. Kasi mukhang milyong-milyong piso ang dali-daling palitan ng kamay dito. Ayaw pa nga pangalanan sino yung mga original na fellow donors ni Mr. Oñate. Tapos walang government agency na may alam, pati BIR na dapat mangongolekta, baka hindi lang ng isa, kundi dalawang donors tax, ay hindi po alam yung impormasyong iyon. So perhaps, Madam Chair, pwede pong imbitahin yung AMLAC to the next hearing. Salamat, Madam Chair.
Yes, we will consider that, and perhaps DBM as well, because this very mysterious insertion of a very large sum of money needs to be probed further. Just as a matter of housekeeping, if you will allow, I know it's lunchtime, please carry on and eat the lunch prepared. We will have a working lunch hour. May I just following up on Senator Risa's request, urge that the committee secretary issue a second subpoena for the documents requested from Mr. Oñate, Gana, Abisado, etc., with regard to the TV ad, which I agree with Attorney Jokno should be entirely unnecessary if the initiative that was forwarded was indeed derived from the people. Also, I'd just like a quick clarification from Mr. Oñate. Mabilis lang po to. We were referred earlier for the organizational chart by Attorney Alex Abisado to a certain Attorney Red Tuason, since he is the one in charge of operations and organization. Tama po ba yon?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
So, what position does he have in PIRMA?
They know the list of regional coordinators and provincial coordinators of PIRMA. They are the ones that are in charge of the soldiers in the field.
So, you work closely with Mr. Red Tuason and perhaps hired him in the past? Is that correct?
Yes, we talk every now and then.
I'm very confused, Mr. Oñate. During the last hearing in January 30, when I read out his name, you said very clearly that you did not know Attorney Red Tuason. Now, he is not only your employee, but a close collaborator and organizer of PIRMA. Can you please confirm or
Yes,
deny?
because at that time we were in the process of getting people to help us in the field.
You are saying...
We
So,
we now have a spokesperson, we now have,
So Attorney Red Tuason was hired when? You did not know him in January 30, is that correct?
yeah, that's correct. I got to know him,
And he
2
has
two
become
weeks
your
ago,
close
about-
collaborator since then?
pardon me?
But since January 30, when you denied any knowledge or familiarity with Attorney Red Tuason, since then, you have become a close associate and organizer of this Attorney Tuason?
Yes,
Yeah.
we text each other now. Because
So,
we
kakilala mo pa lang ngayon?
are beefing up our ranks.
Nalilito po ako kasi humihingi si Senator Binay kanina ng organizational chart, which I assume wasn't made over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we have an
Madam Chair, if I may, Attorney Red Tuason is closely working with the group of Attorney Alfredo Garbin. That's the connection, Your Honor. Unfortunately, Attorney Garbin
Yes,
is not
but
around.
does Mr. Oñate know Attorney Tuason or he doesn't know Attorney Tuason? That's all I need to understand. I mean, January 30, he never heard of him, and today he's a close associate.
Yeah, he was introduced to me about a week and a half ago.
And you organized PIRMA nationwide to undertake an entire people's initiative in the past week and a half. Is that correct?
Yes.
Past week and a
We
half,
are all
Madam Chair.
dumbfounded.
Samantalang tumatakbo na itong People's Initiative, Disyembre pa lang, nag-break na tayo. Break tayo, tapos ibig sabihin, nauna mo nang tumakbo bago nabuo yung magpapatakbo. Ha? nauna yung carriage, yung ano yun, yung karwahe, nahuli yung kabayo. Parang gano'n ang nangyayari dito. Madam Chair.
Nakakalito nga eh. In any case, I understand Attorney Macalintal wishes to be excused. Thank you very much for your valuable contribution.
Yes, Your Honor.
I
But in
also
addition to the position paper that I submitted.
Thank you very much.
I'll
I
just
think
give this
we're already
additional
in
position
receipt.
paper,
Maraming
Your Honor.
salamat po.
Alright,
Yes,
may
thank
hearing
you.
lang po ako sa Pasig ng 2
Ay,
o'clock.
maraming salamat. Thank you po.
Salamat. And
At
good afternoon.
sa ating COMELEC, alam ko rin na may hearing rin kayo sa House, kaya pag kinailangan, mag-abiso na lang po kayo.
Madam
But
Chair.
At this point, I really need to proceed to what is actually the first item in the agenda, and that is Attorney Abad.
Madam
Yes,
Chair, bago lang mawala ang chair at commissioners ng COMELEC, just for the record po.
Ay, hindi pa sila mawawala.
Okay
I think
po, Madam
mamaya
Chair.
pa ng konti.
Or if I, at least to follow up kung may feedback na po kina Commissioner Casquejo at Inting about responding to the first question. Bakit nagbago ang memory at posisyon ng COMELEC tungkol dun sa interpretation ng Santiago?
Response. Sige. Maraming salamat, Chair Garcia. At ngayon, nais ko lang alamin, andito si Attorney Abad. Okay. At tumataginting po yung pangalan ninyo dito sa form na pinagmudmod sa buong bansa. Andito, we hereby authorize Attorney Anthony A. Abad et al. To cause the filing of the petition, perform all acts necessary in furtherance thereof. Are you the same Attorney Abad whose name appears on these signature sheets for the People's Initiative?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Madam Senator Marcos, Senator Dela Rosa, Senator Go, and of course Senator Risa Hontiveros. Before anything else, I would like to apologize for my absence in the last hearing, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify and speak this morning.
Yes, matagal kang inantay pero at least nag-email ka naman. Kaya marami po kaming katanungan para sa iyo. Unang-una, sabi ni Mr. Oñate nung nakaraan, na bahagi ka ng pirma. Are you part of the PIRMA organization? Neither does your name appear in the SEC documents or any other papers that we have retrieved with regard to PIRMA. Do you confirm that you are part of PIRMA?
Actually, Madam Chair, I am not a member of PIRMA, but I am assisting as an advisor the groups that are signing this petition.
So you're disputing Mr. Oñate's claim in January 30 that you are part of PIRMA?
I'm really not part of PIRMA, not organizationally or a member of it. My role is really as an advisor on constitutional reform if this petition ever prospers.
When did you become part of this operation, if not PIRMA?
Okay, my background, no, I am a professor of international economic law at Ateneo, recently retired from the practice of law, and I had been a long-time advocate of constitutional reform. So I have been promoting constitutional reform and advocating it since the period of President Fidel Ramos. That's why I had occasion to work with Carmen, with Tita Chit Pedrosa,
And the rest of the PIRMA incorporators.
yes, but
is
I've
that
never
correct?
joined them organically. But I have supported and I've always promoted constitutional reform.
Or perhaps is PIRMA your client? Are you engaged as a lawyer of PIRMA?
No, I'm not. I'm actually doing this on a voluntary basis. Madam Chair,
I'm just very curious, given your very nebulous and inchoate relation with PIRMA, why is it that yours is a single name that occurs in all these sheets?
well, what happened, Madam Chair,
Yes, please proceed.
okay. What happened, Madam Chair, is, I've been a long-time resource person for both houses. No? Here in the Senate, even with as recent as Senator Padilla's hearings, I appeared as well to promote constitutional reform. In the House, I worked closely with Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. Late last year, Congressman Rufus Rodriguez asked me and invited me to assist and to help Pirma and everyone else who is joining this People's Initiative for Constitutional Reform as an advisor. But I was supposed
Pero
to join.
Attorney Abad, sa dinami-dami ng mga pangalan na binanggit mo, at napakarami naman nila, nandyan yung Ghana Law Office, nandyan si Attorney Abisado, nariyan si Noel Oñate, di ba? Nandyan po kayo. Bakit yung pangalan mo ang pinili nila?
Ma'am, I think this is
Ikaw pa yung sinabi mo, walang koneksyon. Hindi
This
ka
is-
naman bahagi ng pirma. Ba't ka bida dito? Ikaw ang starring dito sa
I know,
aming
ma'am.
papel eh.
I've unexpectedly infamous for this, but Madam Chair, it's actually a curse of the alphabetical, my name being AAA. There are other petitioners.
Yes, could you name or mention some of the et al. That
Okay.
occur after your name? Sino-sino yung et al. That you say alphabetically succeed
Yes.
your AAA initials?
Well, alphabetically, you'd have former Congressman Argel Kabatbat of Magsasaka.
Mga kongresista yan. They're all congressmen.
Well, former congressman. There's, of course, former Congressman Garbin,
Okay.
Ed Gulye of CORE, Constitutional Reform Movement. This was
Okay.
recent organization or last 20,
Sila yung
early
et
20.
al.
Ito yung mga et al. And of course, Sir Noel Oñate and former Justice Veloso, Ching Veloso. I understand there will be more, but these are the names that I am familiar with.
Pero, as an accident of your name, you're saying you are the single name mentioned in full?
Yes, it happened that the signature form came out with only one name, which is mine, and just an et al.
Yes, it's just problematic to me because I actually have the transcript of Mr. Oñate's testimony during the last hearing, during which he said, si Anthony Abad ay kasama namin sa professional sector ng pirma. Ang pirma ay maraming components. Merong farmer, professional, etc. Si Anthony Abad ay isa sa mga volunteers sa aming professional sector. Tama po ba yun?
Perhaps Mr. Oñate can explain. I'm not organic or like a full-time member of
Okay.
Pirma, but I am assisting as a lawyer and as an economist.
So you know Attorney Garbin, a former congressman?
Yes.
And you're also familiar with Attorney Garbin's participation in PIRMA. Kasama kayo sa PIRMA.
Yes.
And together with other former congressmen and justices, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, ma'am.
So you share the advocacy of PIRMA in pushing for the joint voting by the House and the Senate in the event of a constituent assembly?
Yes, that's correct.
Joint voting and not separate voting.
No, because I look at constituent assembly as a single body.
Right.
it-
But
Madam Chair.
you will note that your name is also attached, voting jointly at the call of the Senate President or the Speaker, hence in violation of the bicameral nature of our government. Is that something you abide by?
My opinion, Madam Chair, is that when the heads of the houses call for the Constituent Assembly and
It's an
created...
or, sir. We all went to law school, and the ands and ors were very important. It's an or. A single house can actually call
Yes.
for this con-ass.
Madam Chair.
I stand corrected, ma'am.
Yes, Senator
I
Risa.
apologize, Madam Chair, but just to check, I think Attorney Abad has not been placed under oath yet. Thank you,
That's
Madam
correct.
Chair.
I've failed to ask the committee secretary to, yes, can we please require them to take the oath? Yes, Attorney Abad, please take the oath. I forgot. Sorry, and that will be for everyone that we've called upon. Sorry.
To those who were not able to take an oath during the previous hearings, kindly stand. For the rest who have taken a note, this is a continuing hearing, so your oath still stands. So those who are new to this hearing, kindly stand and raise your right hand. Okay. kindly repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding. Thank you very much. You may sit down.
Yes, thank you very much. Let's proceed. I am still perplexed, Attorney Abad, because you have here very clearly your name in bold letters, indicating that you share the advocacy of a unicameral voting for the Constitutional Assembly. Was this something that you were aware of?
Yes, ma'am. It's well, from an academic point of view, I know that the 1987 Constitution does have certain vagueness, and we were looking at.
I think it's quite specific with regard to voting. There's no vagueness at all.
Well, we were looking at this People's Initiative as an opportunity to clarify this matter.
Okay, so that it was your stand that the Constitution should be changed into a unicameral body, a National Assembly, as originally debated long ago.
No, ma'am.
But this
it-
is
no,
this
but-
is the paper
No,
on
the-
which your name is affixed.
Yes, ma'am. But no, it's not about. It's the Constituent Assembly is unicameral. The Congress or the Parliament or the legislature can be bicameral or can
With
be
all due
unicameral.
respect, you put your name to an amendment that states 3/4 vote of all its members voting jointly, okay, and secondly, at the call of the Senate President or the Speaker. So on 2 counts, it's clearly unicameral. Is that your stand? I'm not going to fault you for it. I just want to make sure that we understand what we're talking about.
My stand, ma'am, is that the Constituent Assembly is unicameral, not the Congress. I'm not advocating a unicameral Congress or Assembly.
But in the case of a change of the Constitution, a single house can call for the vote. Surely you're invoking the establishment of a unicameral assembly.
Yes, it's the same people.
Hindi naman kailangan yung Senado dito, di ba, maliwanag? Gusto ko lang iklaro kung ano talaga yung pakay ninyo rito kasi nalilito po kami. Kasi ngayon sinasabi mo, pang-con-as lang yan. Eh sa ligang batas yan, babaguhin mo. Yung ordinaryong batas, papalitan nga lang yung pangalan ng kalsada. Eh talagang BICAM kami ng BICAM. Eh para dito, para sa konstitusyon, kanya-kanyang kabig, okay na.
Madam Chair, what is of paramount importance to me is the constitutional reform. I can see, and I understand now. I can see how divisive and how
Are you saying you
counterproductive.
allow them to put your name on this without full knowledge of what you were signing?
No, ma'am. I understood.
You understood?
Yes.
And you understood that, in fact, this was a way to evade, avoid, disenfranchise, abolish, in fact, the Senate.
No, ma'am. In fact, personally, I don't think that the Senate should be abolished. I think there should be an upper house.
Eh, ba't mo pinirman to? Nagtataka
No.
lang ako kasi yung mga abogadong kulit-kulit, hindi ba ang turo natin sa law school, talaga isa-isahin mo yan.
Ma'am,
Eh, nagtataka nga ngayon, kaya pala ng speaker, mag-isa, magtatawag siya ng con-as.
With all due respect, ma'am,
Wala namang alam yung senador, wala rin yung Senate President. Pwede niyang patakbuhin. Tama po ba yun? Parang nalilito ako sa iyo eh.
No, ma'am. The Congress is bicameral. The Constituent Assembly, which gathers as a constitutional amendment body, is unicameral. It has a different legal
So you're saying that a
identity.
mere law to change a little road somewhere far away requires constant debate and discussion and finally consensus between the 2 houses, but a major change in the Constitution can be called by a single house. Wala, nalilito lang ako kasi ikaw ang nakapangalan dito eh, kaya kailangan panindigan mo.
But that's correct, Madam Chair. But you see, it's
What's correct po? Na
That-
pwedeng paltan yung saligang batas, kanya-kanyang kabig, na Kung gusto ng mga congressman, kung gusto ng senator, o di paltan nila kahit kailan.
No, it's the constitutional, of course, a constitutional assembly, a constituent assembly, as acting as a constitutional amendment body, of course, has to be subject to scrutiny, and eventually it will require plebiscite or referendum, depending on what comes out of this constituent assembly. It is just that currently,
With all due respect, since you're a constitutional advocate, parang dapat i-clarify natin. In any case, let's put that aside. It's obvious that this form attached your name without full information on your part on the implications of this proposition. Would that be an accurate statement?
my work should have come in only when the petition, if the petition prospered. I was supposed to be an advisor.
So
on
hindi ninyo alam yung nakasulat dito?
Oh, no. I knew, ma'am. I knew what I
You
was...
knew?
Yes.
Yes, but right now you don't know. Sabi mo, hindi ka sigurado kung ganun talaga.
No.
Kasi gusto mo na ngayon bycam. Eh
No.
nakasaad dito, unicameral voting, unicameral call for a con-ass. Let's please make up our minds.
Ma'am, a constituent assembly, although they are the same people who are in the Congress, is actually a different legal body for the purpose
No,
of...
we fully understand that. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this form because it is your name that appears here. And I assume that you abide by all the statements that are contained in this sheet.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, kalarin natin for the record. Yung alam namin yan, we fully understand na a constituent assembly is a separate body. We will be wearing another hat pag mag-form tayo ng constituent assembly. Pero yung point ng chairman is that klaruhin mo yung stand mo about voting jointly or separately. Yan lang gusto namin. From your end, yung ba talagang gusto mo na voting jointly, na kaming 24 at silang 316, isang count lang ng boto namin?
That's correct, sir.
That's correct. So that's your, yan ang gusto mo. Kaya ikaw ang nag-spearhead dito na ma-amend ditong section 1 ng Article 17 via People's Initiative. So ganun ang gusto mo talaga. This for the record.
For the record, I wouldn't say...
I think just to help things along, there were statements from Pirma, I'm not certain if it was Mr. Oñate, that alleged similarly that since the Senate was a constant roadblock to constitutional change, they wanted to have the two houses vote jointly para malusaw nga yung boto ng Senado. Tama po ba yun? Yun ba yung tamang idea sa likuran nitong papel na to? Okay lang, kasi wala lang sa amin. Total, puro proposal naman to eh.
Well, it's not to dilute the Senate's role. It's just that to clarify how you vote within a constituent assembly. That's my understanding.
But it's not merely...
I-clarify mo to, i-amend mo na kagad ang konstitusyon. Yung palang clarification na gusto mo.
Oh, because it lacks clarity. We need to clarify.
No,
That's
but
why
I think it's very clear also at the call of only one of the House leaders, there's nothing that says that it has to be bicameral. Okay din sa iyo yon na only one House. Yung Congress, kanya-kanyang palit. Congress will change the Constitution on its own. The Senate as well. Is that what you had in mind?
Could you repeat that, ma'am?
Well, ang liwanag dito, at the call of the Senate President
Yes.
or at the call of the Speaker of the House. So, kanya-kanyang tawag, kanya-kanyang palit ng saligang batas. Bahala na kung anong lumabas. Okay lang pag hindi nagkatugma-tugma yung dalawa.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm not familiar with the work in how Congress works, but I would imagine that it would require still some consensus. that
You
would
have
be-
your name here. And you're not clear on what the language was?
No, ma'am. It's clear.
Just said it's unclear how Congress works.
No, I'm just saying that I would imagine that when you call, whether you're Senate President or the House Speaker, it would still require a building of consensus within these houses. No? Well, I don't know if
We can go to that later. I
Yes.
think you've certainly not answered all the questions. You've definitely raised my level of confusion. In any case, let's go back to Pirma and revert to that. Do you know Attorney Garbin? Sabi mo kasali siya dun sa mga et al na sana lumabas din kasama mo.
yes,
Okay, so you're part of Project P.I. That's correct, because you were helping them. You said you were in an advisory role.
yes, that's correct.
So you also know Attorney Red Tuason?
No, I don't know Attorney Red Tuason.
I see. But Mr. Oñate said that he was the prime organizer.
Yes, I'm not. I have now no involvement in the signature campaign, ma'am. So I don't know the people who are in the operations part.
You have no involvement, but you are the single name on the signature sheet.
That's correct, ma'am. As I explained, because of the alphabetical order of the petitioners, my name was put at the top of the list.
Mr. Oñate already admitted that he sought the help of Speaker Romualdez, whom he described as the CEO of the Congress. I think that is correct. Did you also meet with Speaker Romualdez?
I met him also.
Yes, was it to do with Project P.I.?
I just accompanied Mr. Oñate and Kong Rufus, and well, he just thanked me for participating.
Could you tell us when this occurred?
In December.
See, Attorney Jokno has reminded us that the people's initiative should derive from the people. Did it not occur to you or to the rest that this had become a politician's initiative and not one that derived from the masses, the people, the citizenry?
No, my understanding, because I had been introduced to Mr. Oñate and the other petitioners, that they would be representing people's organizations nationwide. That's my understanding.
Okay, did you coordinate with Saldico, another congressman, the chairman of the Appropriations Committee?
No, ma'am.
He usually accompanies the speaker?
No, I haven't. I have not had.
Did you coordinate with any other congressman?
No, ma'am.
Because Mr. Oñate has repeatedly admitted to coordinating with congressmen, given that PIRMA did not have the wherewithal, certainly not the organizational scope and reach that the congressman had. Did you coordinate with the other congressmen?
No, I did not, ma'am, Madam Chair.
Do you know the group called Change Philippines that Senator Bato and myself called upon in Davao?
Change Philippines? No, ma'am. I'm not familiar.
So the signature collection by Change Philippines and other groups was not authorized by you. Clearly, you didn't authorize them. You didn't even know them.
Only PIRMA. Only those who appeared as the petitioners. No? At the ground level, I was not able to meet with these other organizations.
If you didn't know them, why were they authorized to collect signatures on your behalf to file a PI petition?
Again, ma'am, I agreed to be a petitioner. My name came out alphabetically in the list of petitioners, and that's why it ended up on the signature sheet.
You're a law professor. You know very well that in order for any authorization to be valid, there must be agreement between the person giving the authorization and the person being vested with authority, correct?
Correct, Madam Chair.
That being the case, how did you provide authorization for all these groups, such as Change Philippines, that you've never met, have not been informed about, and certainly did not authorize to use your name?
I just agreed to be part of that list, and that was my agreement to be part as a petitioner. And again, I ended up being the top of the list.
Your name appears in all those PI sheets, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Do you know who drafted the signature sheets?
Congressman Garbin.
With your full
And of course,
authority, is that correct?
And the PIRMA group.
We're so unclear now about PIRMA. Perhaps you can give us a personal name? Sino po nag-draft nito? Kasi kayo ang nakalantad dyan eh.
If I may answer, Madam Chair, I remember saying during the last hearing that when I discussed the People's Initiative with a group of Attorney Garbin, he coordinated with Attorney Abad and proceeded on their own. So it was Attorney Garbin, but we had to make sure that what was contained in the signature sheets would be consistent and the same with the signature sheets of PIRMA.
You're saying it's not PIRMA, and you're speaking as counsel or lead convener?
I'm not lead convener, Your Honor. I'm counsel for PIRMA.
You're
Thank you.
counsel for PIRMA. So this was drafted by Attorney Garbin, who was here in the last hearing, and Attorney Abad is in full agreement with what was stated, even if you don't seem entirely clear about the bicameral or unicameral voting procedure. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
Who printed them?
PIRMA.
Madam Chair, as to the printing and the operations, that would be answered by Attorney Red Tuazon. We just made sure in some instances we gave them a soft copy. And as to the printing, we don't know
I
anymore.
think your dates are not tallying, with all due respect, Attorney Abisado. Naglabasa nito, maaga-maaga pa, New Year. Eh, hindi naman niya kilala si Attorney Red Tuazon, di ba? Sabi ni Mr. Oñate, nakilala lang daw niya 2 weeks ago. Eh, 2 weeks ago, ang tagal-tagal nang umiikot nitong mga papel na to. Kailan ba kayo nagka-introducean?
That is correct, Madam Chair, because Attorney Red Tuazon is part of the group of Attorney Garbin. Sila ho yung nagko-coordinate sa grupo ho nila.
Madam Chair, medyo nalilito na ako. So, lumalabas 2 grupo?
Di, parang maraming grupo, hindi sila magkakakilala. Kanya-kanya
Actually
mga
po,
gawa.
like we said, Senator Binay, during the previous hearings, wala hong monopoly ang PIRMA on People's Initiative. Marami
sige.
din pong grupo ang gumalaw and we will not stop them. Tinignan lang ho namin
Hindi, pero
sila.
yung,
ganito
yung
na lang,
tanong,
at
yung
least.
tanong, di ba, pare-pareho,
Oh,
regardless of the group.
That's
Tama
right.
po.
I would like the clarification. O sabihin na natin na marami kayo at kalat-kalat all over the Philippines. Ang tanong, sino nag-imprenta niyan? Ilan ang inimprenta? Saan inimprenta? Magkano ang pagka-imprenta? Sino nagbayad ng pag-imprenta? O yung gano'n na lang kaklaro. Siguro naman may kaliwanagan dyan.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator.
to the last statement of Attorney Anthony Abad, sabi niya, ang paprinta daw si Congressman Garbin.
Kaya,
Di ba? Am I correct? Sinabi mo?
Hindi, siya
hindi,
yung
siya
nag-draft.
nag-draft.
Ha?
Siya nag-draft.
Siya daw nag-draft.
Siya nag-drop.
Sino nag-imprenta?
Madam Chair, as to the operations, it will be answered hopefully by the appearance of Attorney Red Tuazon during the next hearing. All questions for sure we are confident will be answered. Thank you.
Despite the fact that he was only hired 2 weeks ago, he has full knowledge of all the operations of PIRMA and the PI project.
You
Is
are
that correct?
referring, you must be referring to the meeting of Attorney Tuazon
No, I'm
and
not
Mr.
referring
Oñate.
to anything. It's Mr. Oñate who's actually said that he only met him 2 weeks ago. Pero
Ye-
alam niya ang lahat.
Yes, but
Eh,
maaga na
na-imprenta
po
to
sila.
noon pa eh.
Yes, Your Honor. Maaga na po silang gumalaw ni na Attorney Garbin.
Ako, Senator Bina, naliwanagan ka ba o mas nalito?
Wait, so parang lumalabas si Attorney Tuazon, si Attorney Garbin, and si Attorney Abad is part of one group. Kailan ho kayo nag-umpisang mag-usap, kayong tatlo? Ni Attorney Abad, Attorney Tuazon, and Attorney Garbin.
I met them in December, ma'am, Senator Binay. But with regard to nga the the operations or administrative matters, I did not involve myself because
But were you part of the crafting of the...
yes, I had to review also and take a look at the draft.
And saan ho galing yung draft? Yung draft question for the PI?
Saan?
Oh, sino ho nag-craft ng draft?
Si Congressman, or sorry, Attorney Garbin.
Okay. Madam Chair, did we invite Attorney Garbin for this hearing? Si Attorney Garbin, because apparently parang...
Yes, Attorney Garbin was invited. He actually attended the first hearing.
Because parang lumalabas siya pala yung nag-craft nitong tanong.
Well, he drafted it. Siya rin ba nagpa-imprenta? Kasi ang sabi niya noon, draft, talagang tumulong lang siya at saka nag-distribute. Wala siyang sinasabi kung sino nag-imprenta. Di daw niya alam. Pagkaalam ko, wala siyang sinasabi doon kasi hindi niya alam. Sino nakakaalam sa pag-imprenta nito? Nalilito ako.
Attorney Red Tuason, the operations po. I'm for sure when he appears, he will answer all the questions. Kasama ho sila sa grupo ni na Attorney Garbin po.
So, kailan ho kayo, Mr. Nate, kailan niyo ho nakilala si Congressman Garbin?
Your Honor, I mentioned during the last hearing when Mr. Oñate engaged our firm to proceed with this project of a People's Initiative. I mentioned this also at that time with Attorney Garbin, who also happens to be our client.
Wait, so,
and he told us,
nga, kailan nga ho yung ang tinatanong
that was
ko ho?
December po, December.
So, kumbaga parang December lang kayo nagsama-sama.
Yes, and they worked fast. Sila po yung nauna. In fact, the signature sheets of Attorney Abad, sila po yung nauna, humabol lang din po yung signature sheets ng pirma.
Tama po ba yun, Attorney Abad? Nauna yung grupo nyo, tapos sumunod lang si...
No, they were already involved.
Kasasabi lang niya eh.
Mag-usap-usap na kayong tatlo,
Pwede ba
apat dyan?
magkasundo muna kayo
Mag-usap-usap
sa
muna kayo
dates?
para...
Kasi linilito na ninyo kami.
Yung signature sheets, nauna ako, yung pangalan ko.
Siguro, balikan na lang ho natin yung unang pagtatagpo nyo. Di ba?
Pang Valentine's Day.
Pang Valentine's Day, kasi parang meron kayong love affair dalawa. Kailan ho kayong unang nagkakilala?
Sa November.
So, November pa. So, hindi December.
Hindi December. December, I met the speaker. And we also met separately.
Bakit si speaker na bigla? Akala ko hindi siya kasali. Po, bakit si speaker na?
Nahuli ka sa sarili mong bibig, ha?
Attorney Abad,
Nahuli ka.
November, nagkakilala kayo ni Attorney Garbin.
And Mr. Oñate.
Okay, so nung meeting nyo noong November, sino-sino yung mga players? Sino yung mga na-meet nyo? Si Attorney Garbin, si Mr. Oñate,
Itong si Argel Kabatbat.
Argel Kabatbat,
Yun yung farmers group.
Yes, farmer. Magsasaka.
Yung magsasaka.
and
Ex-Kong din.
And Ed Gulye of CORE. Yung
CORE,
Constitutional Reform Movement. No?
Yep.
ilang hong apat.
It's the
Teka.
initial group.
Tapos, nung December, bakit kasama na si speaker maliban sa apat?
If I had met the speaker,
Apa.
we did have a meeting because they went to see him,
Oo.
and it was like a sort of a courtesy call. And then after that we went and met about this signature campaign.
Kasi dati sinabi ni Mr. Oñate, hindi naman kasali si speakers. Tsaka na lang, nung nagpapasaklolo na sila, kasi mahirap nga umikot at papirmahan yung mga form.
It's the time that they went to...
Kasama
in December.
kayo?
Yes.
Nung nagtagpo kayo, nandun na yung mga papel?
Hindi pa. Not yet. I didn't see them.
Ay, wala pa nung December.
Oh, wala.
So wala talaga na tayong alam, bigla na lang sumulpot yung mga papel. Yung mga form, ganun ba yun? Nandun yung pangalan mo, hindi mo in-approve yung draft.
In-approve ko yung draft, but I didn't see the printing of the...
And Madam Chair, wala ba kayong security measures na ginawa doon sa pinapipirmahan nyo na alam nyo, para malaman nyo na talagang galing sa inyo yung forms na pinapaikot dun sa baba. Wala ho kayong ganong ginawang hakbang.
Parang security, yung parang sa, like with money.
Na parang may authentication na form 001, 002, tapos may signature yun na, I mean, to say na parang authentic talaga yung bibigay nyo sa COMELEC. Kasi pwede ako magpa-photocopy ngayon neto, di ba? At mag-submit sa COMELEC.